Hey everybody, welcome back to Shift Change, staying in the game at 50 plus. Today I'm here to talk about an experience that we had last night, and I have a very special guest on the show today, the one person that stirs the drink, that keeps it together, the person that keeps the machine running. My wife, Lynn Einison, is here. Lynn, welcome to Shift Change for your first podcast.
So excited. Thank you, Rich.
So Lynn had an idea that we were going to drive up to Seattle from Portland and go see a Seattle Torrent game. And they are in the Professional Women's Hockey League, and they're an expansion team that just joined. And when Lynn brought it up to me, I was like, I don't know, girls hockey. I don't know. My whole life has been hockey and it's always been guys. And even as a young kid, I had girls playing on our team, but it was never really accepted. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. Let's try it. But Lynn, what made you want to go see a girls hockey game?
I don't know. I think the Olympics, right? USA winning the gold. This you hear so much about women's hockey now, and I remember we can talk a little bit about when the boys were growing up. It was always this thing off to the side, this thing off in the corner, right? So I thought, I don't know. Plus, it's a trip to Seattle. It's a weekend. It's an easy drive from Portland. And I wanted to see what it was all about. I was following the Torrent social media. They had sold out Madison Square Garden. So I said, let's go and see what this thing is. I can't imagine what it's going to be like. So it was just like, okay, let's go check it out.
Yeah, so it's our first time to Seattle. We've never been here. It's a pretty cool city. The first thing we did is we ran down to the pier and we went through the markets and, we ate our chowder and we got our lobster rolls but it was time for us to basically take a walk down to the arena. They played a 2 o'clock game in the afternoon and it was kind of cool because as we got down the street, we kind of left the heart of the city and we got felt like a little bit outside of the city. And I couldn't find the arena. I'm like, where is this giant arena? And from our perspective, being from Buffalo or even going to a Coyotes game in Arizona, the arena is this massive building that sticks up out of the ground. That's not what we saw, right?
Yeah, no. And I think as we were walking, so we stayed near Pike's Market. Um, and we were 2 blocks away. So we said, let's walk. So at one point we're like, we're not city mice, right? We're country mice. So it's like, okay, walking through a city you've never been in, what's it going to be like? It was a great walk. It was about a mile. The day was beautiful yesterday. But yeah, we walk up and it's it's really unassuming. You don't really see much of anything. So yeah, we saw the new arena and stadium that they're building when we were in Buffalo a few weeks ago, and that thing is just a behemoth, right? And being used to going to other arenas or seeing other hockey arenas, whether it's the arena in Glendale from where Phoenix played, this you just kind of walked up to it and it almost looks like a greenhouse, which we'll talk about that in a second. But it looks like a greenhouse. And all of a sudden, we kind of walked around and down this kind of incline. And I think the first thing that struck me was not the arena, but the crowds. People were lined up. It, it really was packed. I was super, super surprised. So we were there about an hour early, and the amount of people, the amount of merchandise, the amount of jerseys. Like this had like I've never seen an NHL game with the number of jerseys, like not t-shirts, not sweatshirts, but the support.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But yeah, when you walked up, the building was unassuming. So it's Climate Pledge Arena. Um, it's it's just kind of sitting in what feels like a college part of town. I don't know anything about Seattle to know where it is, but it's feels almost residential at the outskirts of a city, but it's only a mile from where we were downtown.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed as I walked up, it almost looked like a pyramid sticking up out of the ground with the Climate Pledge logo on top of it. And I expected to look up into this, see this tall arena like we're used to seeing. And the entire arena is basically below the ground, and the upper deck basically sits at ground level. But yeah, when we first walked up, I it was an hour before the game, I think it was 1 o'clock, and the lines already were lined up to go into the arena, and the amount of Hillary Knight jerseys, which Lynn is wearing one, we've bought into the Seattle propaganda machine, and, so the amount of Hillary Knight jerseys, I mean, there were other players like Carpenter who also played in the Olympics, Alex Carpenter, but the amount of people that were lined up blew my mind because I thought, well, we're going to go and we're going to see the team play in this big arena and there'll be a couple thousand people. It wasn't like that. When we first got in, I felt like it it was packed and I thought, wow, what's going on here, right? Like I couldn't believe how many people were walking in that building an hour before a women's hockey game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we walked in, you and I are having this debate since we came out of the game yesterday. The demographic was interesting. I said it was 2 to 1 female to male. You have a different opinion. You think it's more than that.
Yeah. I feel like no, I think we looked and I think that we figured the crowd to be about did we say about 8,000?
Maybe. So I'm thinking it's whatever's in the lower bowl, right? So
Yeah,
what
I think it was somewhere around 8,000, but yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I figured probably 80% of that 8,000 was women. And it's a weird experience in the fact that when you go to a hockey game in the NHL, it's probably more dominant towards men, but this crowd was 80% women. And I felt like everybody was having fun. It was this weird dynamic. And I know when you and I have gone to hockey games over the years, Lynn, and we always talk about our frustration at NHL games. And a lot of it is like alcohol driven and drunk people from Toronto and crazy Montreal Canadian fans in Buffalo. And we always get frustrated. And not once during that game did I feel like there was anything to do with drinking or alcohol. I felt like it was women celebrating, excuse me, women playing hockey. It
Yeah,
was
no.
incredible.
Yeah, I think for me, like, so if you don't know me, but Rich knows me. It would not be uncommon for us to go to a Sabres game when we had season tickets, and I would, um, I usually have to yell at somebody because it's just like, "Shut up!" Like, "You drunk, Leafs fan, sit down, shut up." Like, I'm that person. I'm that girl at like who I'm really not afraid to like lean in or yell at people or kind of get my crazy on. So, um,
No, and then I'm the one who has to stand up for you when the guys yell back at you.
what was so, oh gosh, there's so much to say about this experience and this game. Um, I'm going to go on for a little bit of a tirade for a second. Everything from the experience almost felt it was sports centric, I think, first, absolutely. It was so female, women centric. The music. So in our family, we have our daughter, we always call her Chelsea music because it's that late 90s, early 2000s type of music. The music was like every single song, like you just loved it. The in stadium show, like the opening when they're announcing the team, part of it is the arena, right? The arena's fairly new. It's there's two, I guess, jumbotrons, right, where you can watch the game or where they're doing the pregame. Phenomenal. The amount of little girls there. I don't know. We talked about this, Rich, for like during the game all night. We talked about it this morning. I'm super interested in how these women's professional hockey teams, um, their demographic of their audience, right? Like everybody who knows me knows I'm an analytic. I want to sit there and analyze it, and I want to get behind the psychology. And there was a couple times I wanted to walk up to groups of ladies and be like, "Why are you here? Are you a hockey fan first? Are you a women's hockey fan? Are you a girl power kind of gal and you just want to come out and support women's athletics?" Um, it's the number of little girls, and there was this little girl sitting in front of us, and she was losing it. Right? She was holding on the best she could, but it was like the 3 hour game or 2.5 hour game was way too long. Um, but the number of little girls that saw athletes as role models, like that's, I don't know, raising boys who played hockey. It's so interesting to me, this women's hockey, this girls hockey, and I so wanted to know so much more about the demographic. Was there were these women hockey players? Were these girls who played sports? Or was it that girl power play? I don't know. I don't know. We don't have the answers, and I wish I had more answers to it because I'm
Yeah.
so curious.
Yeah, and I just felt like there were people there and they were there to support women in sports, right? Women playing hockey. And it felt powerful to me that they were there to celebrate these women. And I think, if we just quickly talk about what women's hockey, the professional women's hockey league is, and what it was, and being from Buffalo, we had a team I think back in 2015, the Buffalo Buttes, and that was a league, but it only had 4 teams. It lasted a few years and it kind of fizzled out. But this new league now, the Seattle Torrent are a expansion team. They didn't make the playoffs. They were just eliminated. And one of the things that's pretty cool about their league is once you're eliminated, you can still earn draft points to gain better chances at getting the first overall draft pick. So these girls are still playing hard. They were eliminated. They still got a few games left, but the intensity in this hockey game yesterday was incredible. And I know their record's not great. I think it was like 7-16-3 or something like I can't remember what the record was, but but for the Torrent, they're a very top heavy skilled team. I know they're still building depth and chemistry because they're an expansion team, but they have some key players like Julia Goslin, Alex Carpenter, whose dad played 18 or 20 years in the National Hockey League. She's won a gold medal with Team USA just over at the Olympics. And of course, they have Hillary Knight, which is the cornerstone of this team. She's the captain, she's the leader. I think she's 35 years old, and I think her career is probably coming to an end soon. I think she's got 2 gold medals, 3 silvers, 5 Olympics. I mean, this lady is absolutely incredible. But I think Carpenter on this team, she's still the driving force of the offense because I think she's an all-around player. And I'm amazed at how good they are and how well they skate. And they say that women's hockey's not physical, but boy, they were really hitting each other yesterday. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I think if we go back a second, you talked about the team that played in Buffalo, the now defunct league. And we lived there during that time. And I remember there being like, oh, there's women's hockey, the Buffalo Buttes. They played out of the Amherst Pepsi Center. And if you know, I think what's resonating with me is the Pepsi Center is where youth hockey's played, where they do figure skating. I guess it's a public, right? It's just a regular public hockey rink. It has that, yeah, it's a regular rink. It's got that arena, right, where there's more seating, where like maybe the colleges play, right, and they'll do some of the high school federation leagues. But so
Maybe 1,500. been that one.
Maybe. So you and I and the family have like we love to quote The Office, right? We love to quote the sitcom. And there's the famous episode, right, where it's like somebody asked Dwight about NBA versus WNBA. And the line that Dwight says is, well, one's a what is it? One's a sport and one's a joke. I like sports and I like jokes. Like, seeing this game last night, seeing the Seattle Torrent last night, like, no joke. Like, and the difference between this old league and now the Professional Women's Hockey League, I think what's key is they're playing in professional arenas. They're not playing in some 1,500 little and maybe some of the teams are. Maybe that's just a decision that Seattle has made that they're playing in Climate Pledge Arena. They're playing in the same place the Seattle Kraken play. Maybe. But to give women's sports credibility, you kind of have to give them credible, tangible assets, right? And
Yeah,
like I remember hearing about the Buffalo Buttes, and I'm thinking, oh, isn't that cute? Like girls playing hockey and at the Pepsi Center, and it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like dismissive, like you go
yeah,
play over
yeah,
there. Like this,
right.
like that. I'll digress for a minute, but that a gift shop, like the line was through the arena to get to the not the gift shop. What do they call it? Like the fan shop or whatever it is. I'm using the wrong words. That was that was incredible. I mean, I got sucked in, right? I got sucked into jersey sales. Like I want to
Yeah.
support this
Well,
team and these women, right? Like
yep.
that's phenomenal.
And we read we read that they broke a record on jersey sales in their first game. Like they can't keep jerseys in stock. And to me, it's amazing that this expansion team is putting between 8 and 10,000 people in an arena. But I think the key to it is Hillary Knight. Again, I keep coming back to Hillary Knight, and you're literally watching history on ice. She isn't just a good player. She's one of the greatest to ever play women's hockey. And to put her here, I think is what helped explode it here, right? I mean, hockey's always been big here. I said to you, the Seattle won a Stanley Cup in 1917, so hockey's been in Seattle. It's always been part of it. They've had the Seattle Thunderbirds and junior hockey is here, but I think the building block for them is they have Hillary Knight, and that's like watching Wayne Gretzky, right?
Like to watch them, I mean, it's physically different than an NHL game, right? Like there were
Well,
things
they're
that
so
you and I,
little too.
well, yeah, they're little in comparison to 6'7" men on skates, right? I think Hillary is
Yeah, yeah,
still
yeah.
like she's still 5'10", which
5'11".
5'11", like
Yeah,
I'm a big girl, right? Like there's nothing small or petite about me. So, but that's a larger than average woman, right? Like they're physical.
yes, yeah.
They're physical in a different way. So no, I think I left the game last night like hoping this sticks. Like I'm going back to my Buffalo Buttes thing. It was kind of like, you know, they're sitting at a public rink, okay, 1,500 people. Like I go back to what I said, like women's sports need assets, right? Like to play in a big arena, to have the marketing collateral. Like if and to think that if um women's hockey can be as popular as women's basketball, right? Like I think I'm trying to think like are there other what is the big women's sports right now? And I think it's NBA and this is the thing. So uh, Rich and you and I were joking last night. Like, I go, you have to ask me, what are my qualifications to talk about women's sports? Like, I'm not an athlete. Um, I can say I played soccer 40 years ago when I was in high school, right? But um,
Yeah.
can I say my line? Like, what qualifies me to talk about women's sports? I have a vagina, right? That's it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a woman. That's it. I
Yeah.
know what it's like
Yeah.
to. I know what it's,
Yeah.
and I'm not ultra girl power, but I'm girl power, right? And I left the arena thinking, this is great. The city of Seattle, um, surrounding areas, Pacific Northwest is really supporting these women and this organization. And it's
Yeah.
new, it's inaugural season. Like, I hope these things start to stick, right? Like, everything goes in a cycle, everything's cyclical. Um, and I don't know, it was so much fun. Like, so I want to talk about like the old, like the Buttes and what felt different, right? Because we did have a team that had a professional women's hockey team, and it just wasn't what this was. The fan base, these people knew hockey. Like there was a gentleman sitting next to me, and I don't know if it was a daughter. I don't know who it was who was sitting next to him. Well, you and I went to a Buffalo Sabres game, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago when we were there, the Detroit game. And
Yeah.
there were
Yes.
people
Yep.
behind us chirping and yelling shoot at the power play and all the things that kind of make us cringe when we go to hockey games. Um, and it's like you can tell these people never played hockey, they're fans of the game, and that's great. But there were people sitting around us talking about it like they knew hockey, right? They knew hockey. They weren't just fans of the game. They knew the game. And even the way the guy next to me was talking to the young lady that was sitting next to him was like, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? Like I don't know, it was such a great experience. Um, the fan
Yeah. One of the
experience
highlights for
was great.
me Yeah, one of the highlights for me is that we laughed. And so there's the cameraman walking through the crowds, constantly getting these little girls dancing, and they're up on the Jumbotron. And the cameraman focuses in on a woman, and she's wearing a hat that says, "Eat more vagina." And the crowd goes absolutely nuts and they jump out of their feet. And I'm on my feet and I'm swinging my arms around. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I realize I look around, I'm one of only about 10 guys in a section cheering on this hat. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, but the amount of, it was just constant fun. It wasn't like people were there, they paid a ton of money, and it felt like good, wholesome fun at a hockey game. And what amazed me is the amount of little girls. I could not believe the amount of little girls at a hockey game. And I
Oh,
thought, this sport is growing. And
yeah,
a lot of it has to do with that Olympic connection, right?
yeah, yeah. The ratio of little girls to little boys, like, wow. To
Three
have
to
a
one, 4 to 1.
Yeah,
It was incredible.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you always hear this when people talk about um, women, um, women or people in general wanting to see people who look like them. Right. And we talked about this yesterday. It was so odd. And I kept asking you throughout the game, like, what is this like for you? You're a hockey player. You coached our boys. You coached men. You played with men. You had a girl on your team, a young lady on your team, back in Buffalo when you coached high school. I think, one of the first things you said is it's so weird. I can't see their nameplates because, again, we don't necessarily know who the players are except for the big names.
Yeah.
Those ponytails were
Yes.
swinging, right? Like, those ponytails are swinging. But for a young girl to see other young girls out there, like, I'm going to go on my tirade for a minute. Like, as a man, you can't understand what it's like to be a woman in this world, right? Like you don't know, you don't have that experience. But to see little girls having someone athletically, not career wise or professionally, I think there's great examples of that. Like that's more normal now, right? But to see someone they can look up to, want to become, and and make it okay, that made me really proud, right? Like
Yeah.
we have the 3 kids. We have
Yeah.
2 boys and a girl, and, um, it's just to be able in this day and age to raise a girl to be able to see that, yeah, you could play hockey. You wanna go play hockey, and there's more than just one local team for you to play with, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
there is something to aspire to. You were telling me this story last night. Tell this story. So, your other podcast with John Landry, the story he tells about coaching. Tell that story again, because I think that's a
Yeah.
perfect
So
tie-in.
when yeah, you'll hear it on the podcast when we release it later today, but John coached his son all through AAA hockey in Toronto. And he also coached his daughter, who's 30 now. And she's come out and played with us, and she's a great hockey player. Phenomenal. The long ponytail, it's flipping all around like every other girl's ponytail when she's on the ice. But John said the one thing that he loved most about coaching girls is the girls wanted to have fun. The parents were there for fun. In the boys, it was so aggressive. The parents were out of control because they thought every kid there was going to the NHL. He enjoyed women's hockey more than men's because he felt the intensity was there with the girls, but he also felt like they were having fun. They weren't being pushed by their parents. They weren't being driven to make it to the NHL. And maybe that's changing now. Maybe that is slightly shifting a little because that was 15 years ago. But maybe it is changing with this emergence of professional hockey. And I think there's 8 teams in this league now, and it's growing. And going back to why it's getting so big. I mean, we've all watched the Olympics, and the women's Canada US is absolutely an amazing experience through that Olympic process. And I think with the Torrent, they're basically Team USA West Coast edition. I mean, they've got Hillary Knight, Alex Carpenter, Hannah Bilka, and Kayla Barnes. They have 5 Olympians, or 4, I'm sorry, 4 Olympians on their team. It's like watching Olympic level hockey on a weekly basis here in Seattle. And I think that's what's helping grow it. And it's a big part of probably why they're successful right off the bat at the box office. It's just their strength is high-end veteran leadership. They have strong Olympic core level. They've got 6 highly skilled forwards, but the weakness the Torrent have is their depth scoring's off. Their defense probably is struggling. They've got one of the highest goals against in the league. And the expansion team inconsistency. They can look amazing on one night, and then the next night they're not good because they probably have the younger team. Um, they're dangerous, but not yet deep, and it just takes time once they as they grow, and it's an amazing experience for this city to see that. I
Well,
mean, they
and
saw it with the Kraken. The Kraken had success 2 years into their existence.
yeah, and like you just said something that struck me. The goalie, Carly Jackson, CJ, right? Carly Jackson is the
Mhm.
goalie for the Torrent.
Yeah.
Um, like
Yep.
I'm a goalie mom, so I'm always partial to a goalie, right? Like uh, they love her. The crowd
Everybody
erupts,
loves the goal.
but everybody loves a goalie. Like
Yeah.
who doesn't love a goalie, right? So, um, except maybe a forward doesn't love a goalie kind of thing.
Right,
But
right.
no,
Yep.
um the she was like a rock star with the crowd, right? Like everything from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
anthem when they announced the team and just these young girls and the fan base erupting for her, right? Like how amazing is that to see these young ladies be treated like rock stars?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, but
it was great. I would love to do it again, right? I'd love to come to another game next season. It was I
yeah.
hope it builds.
Yeah, the atmosphere, I mean, you can feel women's hockey growing. I felt like it was growing while we were in the arena. It was just so intoxicating, and it's not just a niche anymore. It's not, "Oh, girls play hockey and, there's a couple of college teams here and there." I felt like it was growing while we were there. I mean, we're part of it. Like we were there one game and it's grown because we came, right? Like that's incredible. And the pace and the structure, it's way tighter than you'd think, girls hockey. Like I thought to myself, oh, how good can it be? Like I played my whole life. I played at all levels and it was so the pace and structure was way tighter than what you would expect. It was fast, it was quick, and they're aggressive. After whistles, they're pushing each other and cross-checking each other. And not to mention, there's a star presence. Seeing Hillary Knight live. It's not like watching her on TV and she's over in Europe on the Olympics. This is the greatest women's hockey player to ever play the game. And then we got to see this new rivalry, right? It's
Yeah,
already the Pacific Northwest rivalry. It's brewing, and you could feel it. There were Vancouver jerseys in the arena. It was pretty awesome.
yeah. I know we talked about this like even after the game, and I'm like, "Ooh, how do we get a team in Phoenix?" Right? But what's really interesting is where you look at where the teams are, right? So the teams are these are the two West Coast teams, Vancouver and Seattle. I think what do we say? Minnesota has a team, Toronto, New York, Boston,
Montreal.
Montreal. So I'm like, interesting. Border towns, right? Makes sense. Winter climates make sense. Um, so yeah, just wondering, again, I don't know much about professional women's hockey league. Like, what's the plans for future expansion? How do they look at like you could see Detroit, like border town. I could see Washington, DC, right? Like those would be probably really great. Phoenix, like we lost our hockey team. So
Yeah,
there isn't there
yeah,
isn't that tie-in. And even men's hockey struggled in some cases in Phoenix. Granted, they struggled for a couple different reasons, maybe
yeah,
not necessarily fan base, but just yeah,
yeah,
where seeing where this could go would be really,
yeah, yeah.
really amazing.
I mean, you mentioned it earlier. You see where basketball's going and the emergence of basketball because of one player. She's turned the game upside down, and you and I talked about going to see a Phoenix basketball game, a women's game, but you can't get it because it's always sold out.
Sold out.
And especially if what's her name comes from Indiana, I can't remember her name because I have terrible memory, but it's sold out. And I think that amazing. It's just an amazing thing to see these women supporting women's hockey. And it wasn't all women. There were guys there. I was there supporting it. There were a lot of men there as well, but 80% of that crowd was women, young women, and little girls. And I thought, phenomenal. And I think the demographics, probably that 30-year-old demographic, I feel like, because most of the players are anywhere, they're college level players, so they're coming out of college, so they're probably 23, 24, up to 35 of the age of the players. So you're going to have that demographic of that age group in the crowd as well. But the signs that the little girls were holding up, and it was cool.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, like I was thinking about this last night, like the NHL, some of those teams are 100 years old this year, right? Like Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know. I don't know my hockey history.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, they are. Yep.
this sport, so professional women's hockey league is what, only 2 years old. So
For
where
years. Yep.
are the young women, the ladies, the women, the girls who will be the Ovechkin equivalents, the Wayne Gretzky equivalents in girls hockey?
The next great one.
They
The next
haven't
great one.
they might not even be playing this sport yet. Like I have chills. Like think about that. Hillary Knight, yeah, like she's the superstar right now, right? Like she is almost the face of professional women's hockey. Not to discredit any of the other ladies, right? But how you like a lot of times it's name recognition, right? And that's how you build it. It takes those early people who come into sport or come into social media. Like it takes one to build that path for the next person. But think about like so like we looked at the ages of a lot of these young ladies, a lot of these women, and they're 97s, right? So they're 20, what does that put them at? 28, 29. Some of
Yeah.
them, I think, are
Yep.
in their early to mid 30s. Well, they are the pioneers of the sport, right? And then it's those pioneers who have the most difficult road to hoe, right? Like they're breaking the ground, they're building it for whoever is going to come past them. And yeah, there's these
Right.
superstars now, but wait, like just wait. And who are the girls who are in mites and peewees and phantoms and coming up through the college ranks that will be? And can the sport get to the point where we have the female equivalent of a Gretzky or of an Ovechkin or a Lemieux or like the names that just become synonymous with the sport? Like they define the sport. Like, how cool is that? Like, like that's
Right.
amazing.
Who takes over?
Yeah, they don't exist yet. Like
Yeah.
when Gretzky was forming all his records, Connor McDavid was like he was a peewee. He maybe wasn't even born, right? Like I don't even know how old Connor McDavid
Yeah.
is or Jack Eichel.
Who's
Who's next?
who's
Like
the next one that takes
who's
over
the
for
next
Hillary
one?
Knight? Yeah.
And then just
Yeah.
builds, right? And I want that for women's sports. Having been there last night, um, you just want this so much for them.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yep.
just the coolest thing. And the arena was great, right? Like it was the music was phenomenal. It was my girl music. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
And it's
awesome.
funny because you and I talked yesterday. It's not just a Canada US game anymore. There's teams, there was girls from Finland there
Yeah,
last night, Sweden, Czechoslovakian girls. It's an international sport
yeah,
now, like hockey is at a men's level. It's becoming international even at the women's level. And they're coming over from Europe to play college hockey here, and they're jumping into the PWHL. And you could see the names last night. I told you that's a Finnish name. There's a Czech
yeah,
name.
yeah,
So it's not just a Canadian American game anymore in women's hockey. And yes, Canada and the US are the driving forces like they are in men's hockey. It's just bigger larger countries, right? So, but to see the European influence as well is a great sign that it is growing in women's hockey across the world.
no, it's um
Yeah,
I remember I turned to you at the game, or maybe it was during one of the intermissions, and I said, would you have come to this if I had not said, let's go and see a women's hockey game? And you're like, no, you probably wouldn't have, right? It wasn't really on our radar. Um,
yeah,
yeah, but now we're kind of like
yeah.
huge
And
fans.
I told you, I told you my story about coaching in high school hockey. And one year I had a girl on our team and phenomenal hockey player. And she won a state championship in New York with the women's team. And she did really well. They do well till they get to a certain point in men's hockey, and then they it's not that they can't, but physically they're just not as big, right? And when the testosterone kicks in on these 18-year-old boys, it's just ridiculous, and they do stupid things. And but I remember even as a kid for myself being 15 or 16, um, I had a girl play on a team with us, and we all thought it was weird. She had her own locker room. She changed differently. And I think, of course, all of us boys liked her. She was probably cute, I think, at the time. So, but it was weird for us. But for me to see this hockey last night, I thought to myself, it's pretty cool. And I played with a guy when I was a kid who is now the coach at Mercyhurst. And he's been the coach at Mercyhurst women's hockey for 20 years, I think, and he's one of the greatest coaches in college history. Um, and I know that it's hard for men to coach women's sports. From what he's told me and what other people told me, there's a lot of knocking on doors and a lot of can I come in? And the women basically run the locker room. You're just the coach.
Well,
They allow you to come
the
in when they want you to.
come on, Rich, women run everything. Is it any different at home?
Yeah, exactly. So, but just to just kind of to summarize what we experienced, one being in Seattle was really cool. I never thought I would ever be in Seattle. let alone living in Portland where you and I are and living in Phoenix. We've been on an amazing journey our life in the last 10 years, but getting to see Seattle was really cool. Um, Getting to experience this women's hockey, I felt like I was part of something that we're going to watch the Buffalo Sabres play their first playoff game this afternoon, and we're part of something, and we feel it, right? As a city, we feel that we're part of something. But I felt like being at a Seattle Torrents hockey game in that crowd, I felt like I was part of something new and fresh, and I felt like I was part of that group of people rooting for this good, wholesome hockey. Like, I can't describe the
So,
feeling I got being at this game.
so the one thing that good and wholesome, yes, competitive. Like let's not make it sound like there were um girls out there in figure skates and uh, beautiful
Oh, they're
dresses, right? Like
mean.
no, like
These
let's
girls play for blood. No, they're
yeah,
mean.
like let's
Yeah,
like it was hockey. It was hockey like any hockey fan would know who has traditionally watched men's
yeah,
hockey. Like yeah, like I
yeah,
don't like right, like I don't want to diminish the fact that it's competitive and it's hockey and just because
yeah,
it's women,
right.
it's is it physically look a little bit different? Well, yeah, they're not 6'7" on skates, 235 pounds. Like that's not who you're watching playing. But it was
Yes.
that game was amazing. Like the third period was phenomenal, right? Like back and forth, back and forth. The Torrent lost in overtime. What an amazing game and
Yeah,
so exciting. And
yeah,
like you just get sucked
yeah,
in, right? And we have no ties to Seattle. We have no ties really. Like we didn't have a young lady who that we raised. Our daughter didn't play girls hockey. She played other sports. But
yeah,
what
yeah.
what
For
a
me though,
phenomenal
for me
experience.
though, Lynn, it was the crowd experience. So when I say
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
something in the wholesomeness of it. It was the crowd experience, and the in-game experience that I had was so different than an NHL in-game experience. I felt
Yeah.
like this harmony with the crowd, like, they were all there to experience women's hockey, and it was an amazing thing to experience. I'm a fan, like, I told you, would I have gone if no, I wouldn't have gone to a women's hockey game. Would I go again? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Being 3 hours from
absolutely.
Portland, I would drive up and I would see another game. I'd come and watch Montreal, or I'd come and watch
Yes.
Boston or
Yes.
Minnesota
Yes.
because the experience the experience of being at the game was an amazing experience. I don't know any other way to describe it. I enjoyed it. I had fun. You and I talked all last night, like, what just happened to us? Like, we had an amazing experience. It's so cool. I don't know how to describe it. We could probably wrap up here in a little bit, but, I don't know if you wanna add anything here at the end before we kinda sign off?
No, just um good luck. Great. Like gonna be back. Gonna come to Seattle again. Definitely gonna come see the Sabres. Definitely gonna come and see the Torrent again. Support this team, support women's sports, support women in sports. Um, Climate Pledge Arena was phenomenal. It was beautiful. We could do a whole episode just about Seattle and Climate Pledge. But no, thank you, Rich, for taking me to a professional women's hockey league game. I think it changed both of us for the better in terms of our love
Yeah,
of sport.
yeah,
So thanks for being
yeah,
open and thanks for the weekend
yeah.
trip.
Yeah, it was awesome. Good job on the recommendation to go there. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all we have today. Remember, go like us, share us, tell your friends about us, and folks, take a hockey game in any city that has women's hockey. Go see it. It's an amazing experience. We'll talk with everybody next time. Have a good day.
Go Torrent, go Sabres.